Oh, oh man, that's what I get. I I posted a thing. I was gonna go live, and I put it out there long enough. I thought I had the time, but man, this last one went a little bit long. So let me catch you up. Okay, so I put a post up. I'm gonna read it to you here. Okay, I'm ready to rock. And then my friend Zach Tinker, love you, man. Thanks for chiming in. My friend Zach um, wrote a really good response, which really added to um, the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about here. So let me just cut right to it. Let me share my screen right here. Um, Here, let's just try that. Sharing now. All right, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna try to read it to you. It looks a little bit small, but so this is a copy of a letter that I sent on behalf of a client to an adjuster, and it's a mitigation scenario. Dear adjuster, I trust this message finds you well. Following our ongoing discussions, and in the spirit of good faith, our company, represented by Mr. Contractor, anonymized, obviously, has made several reasonable reductions to our original invoice concerning the mitigation work for the insured. These adjustments were intended to move towards a mutually acceptable resolution and clearly demonstrate our commitment to collaborative negotiation. Unfortunately, it seems that your team has not reciprocated these efforts. Given the lack of substantive progress and to avoid further prolonging this matter, this serves as notice that if payment reflecting our reduced invoice, this was a negotiated reduction we had here. We said we're going to reduce our invoice in order for us to get paid. If its payment is not received within 10 days from the date of this email, we'll be compelled to rescind our offer and for the adjusted amount. Where like, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to try to meet you halfway. If we don't get payment, guess what? That's on you, Mr. Adjuster. Should this occur, please be advised that we will issue a new invoice to the insured for the full original amount plus applicable late fees as per the terms outlined in our contract with the property owner. We wish to resolve this matter expediently, amicably, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that is, let me see what shows up. Okay, perfect. Let's go here. And then Mr. Tinker says, this is great. And what it comes down to is too many times I have seen personally in my direct experience restoration contractors thinking they're being fancy, thinking they know a thing or two that somebody else doesn't, and they're just flying by the seat of their pants with what they call and what is generally called work authorizations. I'm going to tell you here, you're about to read again, work authorization, an open-ended work authorization is not a contract. A contract has a schedule of fees, it has a start and an end date, and it has a price affixed to it. All right, let me read you what Zach said. Those adjustments were an offer to settle and have not been accepted by the carrier, so the offer will no longer be valid. Thank you for that. Now, the real question is, does a mitigation contractor have an enforceable legal contract with a homeowner where all material terms are listed and agreed to, including price? And if the material terms of the contract deviated due to increased scope from unforeseen circumstances during the job, were change orders executed? Or, this is what really happens usually, did the homeowner sign a service authorization to let work begin blindly and then hit with an invoice at the end of the mitigation efforts, like 99% of the jobs? That's just, there are reasons why restorers have bad reputations. This is one of them. We we take advantage of, and this is from their perspective, or the insured's perspective. We took advantage of their desperation and their need for our services, and we had them essentially sign a blank check to us for work that we couldn't adequately price or quantify. at the time of signature. There's no good reason for it. This day and age, there's no good reason for doing that. Okay, continue. By utilizing sound, legally enforceable contracts instead of service authorizations, you are not stuck with attempting to justify the reasonableness of scope price because you're not dealing with equitable relief, the only relief available when there is no legally enforceable contract, i.e., a work authorization is not a legally enforceable contract. All right? Are alarm bells going off in your head yet? Okay. With a legally enforceable contract, you have the ability to seek contractual damages. Without it, you're in the land of equitable relief, where even if you sue, the judge will need to determine whether the work done was reasonable given the circumstances and if the corresponding price is reasonable as well. It becomes a guessing game, right? That's what we've done to ourselves vis-a-vis. How do I stop sharing my screen? I guess I can't. Oh, wait. Stop. There we go. I know the intention behind a work authorization. The intention is we need to be able to get to work fast. We need to be able to do what we need to do to help this insured, to dry the structure, to mitigate the damages, whatever else. That's the intention. But we need to have an actual contract in place for in the likely, but we don't want to believe it's a likelihood, but there's a very high likelihood that something's going to go wrong. Someone's going to do something on any other side. And if you have a contract in place, there's a clear path to say, there's a clear definition of this violates our contract. This violates our agreement, right? We're going to do this work for you. It's going to cost this. And if there's any more work that we have to do, it's going to cost the right. There's a schedule of fees in that contract that says this is what we think it's going to be, right? If it's not, here's the other things we did, and here's the cost basis in our contract. That's a schedule of fees. And you agree to pay us for the work, right? If you don't pay us, these are the consequences. 30 days is going to be a late fee. 45, 50 days is going to be a lien. These are things, if you have them in the contract, you can telegraph them immediately to the carrier and say, hey, we have a valid contract. This is our schedule of fees. This is our invoice for the work that we did. Now, if you don't pay us, if you don't reimburse your insured for this bill, at 30 days, it's going to be late fees. 45 days is going to be 60 days. There's going to be consequences. If you just have a work authorization in place, you have no way to lay out those consequences. You really don't. And you don't have really good recourse when someone just plainly says, I'm not going to pay you. Right? The number one risk to restoration companies is the risk that they're not going to get paid on 100% of their invoices. Number one risk. Number one killer of restoration companies, cash flow. They get too far out of their skis. They want to believe that all the work they're doing is going to get paid for, and then it doesn't. And then what? If any day of the week, 25 to 40% of your annual revenue is tied up in accounts receivable, you've got a cash flow problem, right? Which is a problem we actually help with at QuickCheck. But that's not the point of this video. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope I didn't blabber on too long. Go put together a good contract if you don't have one. And if you do have one, take another look at it. Take this as your reminder. Review that contract. Does this still put me in a position to win? And if it doesn't, make those changes. All right. See you.